Over the past year, we've heard that HBO want to get involved with The Walking Dead. They want a Walking Dead reboot. But why didn't the network pick up the original Walking Dead when they brought Robert Kirkman's comic book vision to life? Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. As we know, The Walking Dead has had 11 seasons, over 170 episodes. It has been one of the most successful television series of all time. And AMC have to take part of the glory for it. They are the network that has given us The Walking Dead. But according to Gail Hurd, one of the producers at The Walking Dead, it could have been an HBO show. And HBO was the original destination for everybody involved at The Walking Dead. That is the network that they reached out to first. That is the network that they wanted the show to be on. However, they had to turn down HBO because of one condition that HBO made to The Walking Dead, and that is that they needed to tone down the gore. Yes, HBO believed that The Walking Dead was too gory to be on their network. They wanted to tone down some of the scenes, have less gore involved, less blood involved, to which Gail Hurd told HBO, quote, "No thank you," walked out the door, and then decided to get an agreement with AMC. So what's your thoughts on that? HBO essentially losing The Walking Dead as a television series because HBO believed that The Walking Dead was too gory to be on television.
I'm going to call bullshit on that one, because this was around the same time that Game of Thrones was getting ready to debut Game of Thrones on HBO. So how can a show like Game of Thrones be deemed not gory, but The Walking Dead be too gory? Right? You see, The Walking Dead, I think some of the walker kills, you could argue, are gory, than some of the deaths in Game of Thrones, but when Game of Thrones goes a lot darker, man, when you look at like themes of rape and things like that. The Walking Dead, yeah, the odd thing happens, but nothing overly serious.
Plus, the most brutal deaths in The Walking Dead do happen on walkers that are already dead.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see, like, walkers get stabbed through the brain or get their head completely squished, but at the end of the day, you know, the person's no longer living at this point. You're not killing a living human being, whereas in Game of Thrones, I mean, you're seeing people get beheaded, you're seeing humans fucking die all the time, incest, I mean, rape scenes, you're getting all this crazy shit on Game of Thrones, which is an HBO show. So I'm not sure if I buy this. It is what some of the producers at The Walking Dead have said. I have no reason to believe they would lie. However, we also hear news that HBO now want to get involved with The Walking Dead, and they're planning on a Walking Dead reboot now, whether it be an animated series or whether they want to start from the very beginning, or maybe they want to do a different story altogether. But I don't understand why Game of Thrones would now all of a sudden want involved with The Walking Dead, yet have no interest in it in previous years. I think you can't even argue that you can push the envelope more now. I think that riskier stuff was probably being done back then when we had Game of Thrones first airing, when we had The Walking Dead first airing. I think now in television things have become slightly tamer. In networks it's more controversial with things that you can show and things you can't show. So I believe that if HBO was going to at one point find something too gory, they'd be more likely to find The Walking Dead too gory to do now than they would back in 2010. But that's just my opinion. Now, there's a quote from Greg Nicotero where he put over AMC and basically took a dig at HBO. He says, quote, "Thank goodness we wound up at AMC. They totally get this show. Right from the beginning, they've been completely trusting and supportive of what we've been trying to do with the series." End of quote. So he's basically saying that AMC have allowed The Walking Dead free reign. They've given them permission to do whatever they want to do, whatever direction they want to go. Whereas HBO wanted to basically handicap them and shackle them and not allow them to reach their full potential. I'm not sure whether I agree with that. I think HBO is the show where you get edgier content on compared to AMC. Plus, we've seen a lot of people over the years complain about the budget and how that has held The Walking Dead back, and that if it was on HBO, they would have been able to film certain stories, certain arcs better, because they would have had a higher budget, they would be able to do more, and things wouldn't have looked as cheap as they did on the AMC shows. So I can definitely see that. When you think of what show offers you the best chance, what show creates the most money, what show gives the shows bigger budgets and stuff like that, HBO tends to always come out on top against AMC. So yeah, no, I do think there is something to support that claim that if The Walking Dead had been on HBO, then perhaps we could have had a better series. A lot of people point towards season 2, where they spent half of it on a fucking barn, half of it just looking for Sophia, and that was because of budgets. Frank Darabont has come out and said that season 2 was hampered because they didn't have the money to do what he wanted to do, and maybe if it was on HBO, then we wouldn't have spent 4 episodes of Daryl essentially looking around the forest trying to find Sophia. So who knows, HBO could have done a better Walking Dead show, perhaps. I don't think it was a gory thing, though. I mean, maybe it was. I wasn't there in the meetings, but I just find it hard to believe that HBO wouldn't have wanted too much gore on their shows when we've seen a shitload of gory HBO shows in the past and present.
Of course, I'm going to totally agree, and I think that's where we have to leave it.
The Last of Us on HBO, pretty gory.
You know, HBO, by the way, is a private network. AMC, it airs on like cable television. You've got that's a difference maker.
Yeah. So anyway, would The Walking Dead have got the numbers if it was on HBO? I believe HBO is in less households as well. So
yeah, would have changed the game, but can't rewrite history now, folks.
Anyway, like, I think The Walking Dead was good for the first, few seasons, probably like first 3-4 seasons, then it started going downhill. But it's hard to give anything 11 seasons and keep it consistently good over that period of time. The longer shows go, the more likely they are to begin to fall. And we've seen that with Game of Thrones. A lot of people consider the last few seasons of Game of Thrones to be by far the worst seasons in the show. And it's similar to The Walking Dead. You need to get out. I think you need to get out while the show is still good, and sometimes people just stay in it for too long, and I think that's the case with The Walking Dead. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let us know your thoughts down below. Apparently, according to Gail, Howard, and Greg Nicotero, HBO didn't want the gore, therefore they didn't get The Walking Dead. That's it. Catch you in the next one. Till then, peace.